Right, in case you've just joined us, you are not late. We are yet to start, just waiting for one or two people to join us, and then we can have our conversation started. Um, Also, letting you know that we're waiting for one of our guests to join us, and then we can kickstart the conversation. But ideally, once again, you are welcome to this conversation, a continuity of talking about corruption in the management and utilization of constituency development funds sponsored by Lands for Community Action ACA Zambia. Today, unfortunately, being the last episode of the 3 episodes that we have been discussing corruption in the management and utilization of the CDF, we hope that the episodes so far have been so insightful and that you and I have been empowered on how we can then get into those constituencies to fight corruption. Tonight's episode features 2 guests. They are not yet in, but we're hoping that they could come on. We have a female guest for the very first time, who is Mwandi Constituency Member of Parliament, Honorable Sibeso Sefulo. We hope that she could join us. We spoke earlier. She said she would joining us. And then we also have a gentleman, ward trustee from Mano ward, that is in Bangwela constituency. His name is Isaiah Kapambwe. He will also be joining us. My co-host is Chanda Chongo Medley. He is with us. Chanda, good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you for putting me on the spot. Hi, good evening, Mola. How's Livingstone this evening?
Well, Livingston is okay. What as always, we hope that Lusaka is fine.
Well, Lusaka is very, very fine.
All right, and so we will just wait for our guests to come on board. But generally, just like I indicated earlier, that we have been talking about corruption or fighting corruption in the management and utilization of the Constituency Development Fund. But probably just to help out our guests, Chanda, to sort of understand 1 or 2 things about CDF. We know that many of them might know this information, but I think it's very important that we remind each other of the Constituency Development Fund. Now, in a nutshell, the CDF is provided for in Article 162 of the Constitution of Zambia, that is Amendment Act number 12, 2016, and is simply worked around by the Constituency Development Fund Act number 11 of 2018. Now, the provisions in these 2 pieces of legislation provide the legal framework for CDF in collaboration with other laws such as the Local Government Act number 2 of 2019, the National Planning and Budgeting Act number 1 of 2020, the Public Finance Management Act number 1 of 2018, and the Public Procurement Act number 2 of 2020. And now we know that the Constituency Development Fund guidelines were launched by the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development in February 2022. It will also interest you to be reminded that CDF was originally introduced in Zambia in 1995 as a means to encourage local development in rural and urban communities across the country. That is according to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. Now, for the CDF to effectively be managed, guidelines were developed for the utilization of the same, the latest prior to the current ones having been produced in 2006. The original scope of the CDF was to cover local projects at the community level, with the 2021 allocation for CDF amounting to 1.6 million kwacha per constituency. That is according to the Zambia National Assembly 2021. Now, the initiative was, however, marred with a bit of challenges here and there, which is why we are talking about fighting corruption in the management and utilization of the CDF at the moment. We are, however, yet to also get some of the challenges from today's or tonight's guests in terms of how CDF is doing in their respective localities. But to mention from the 2 episodes that we've had so far, Chanda, some of the challenges including consistent disbursement, meaning that communities could not predict the flow of CDF in order to execute effective planning and implementation. And I think there was a question that you asked the Chifu Member of Parliament last time to sort of give update at what point, is CDF disbursed in respective constituency accounts. Now, it will fast forward also be important to note that in 2022, CDF was increased, to the from the 1.6 earlier to 25.7. As we speak now, CDF has been increased as well to 28.3 million kwacha. But we now have Mwandi Constituency Member of Parliament, Honorable Sibeso Sefulo. Honorable, thank you so much for joining us. May I also indicate that you are the first female guest for the show so far since inception. This we must put on record. You actually deserve a hand for actually making it. You're most welcome, Honorable.
A grand entrance.
Thank you so very much for having me. I had to drive as quick as I could so I get home, and then I log into the program. Thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. So we are discussing, fighting corruption in the management and utilization of the Constituency Development Fund. But to begin with, we know that Mwandi constituency is in Western Province. But tell us briefly, how has CDF worked for your constituency so far?
Thank you so very much for that question. Let me also say good evening to our dear listeners. For Mwandi constituency, really, to be honest with you, CDF has been a game changer. We started with when I came in, when I was voted in, we started with the 2021 projects. That was a CDF that was initially 1.6, and that we had 4 projects that we did. And then in the 2022 CDF, which went to 25.7 million kwacha, we have 23 projects that we are currently implementing in Mwandi. And just recently, we sat and looked at the 2023 projects. And under that, I cannot disclose it since the projects have not been approved. So it's a game changer, and not only is it changing in regards to construction, but also the lives of people in regards to grants, and also the youths in regards to skills development. Currently in Mwandi, from the 2022 CDF, we managed to train 101 youths at Livingstone Institute of Trades, and we've also taken some in Western Province. I can tell you it's a game changer. And then when those youths are coming back, we are also trying by all means to empower and encourage our youth to form cooperatives so they can benefit from the CDF in regards to taking advantage of the projects that we are currently doing, that is making desks, So there's a lot that is happening, and lives are being transformed.
Right. Now let's look at utilization of CDF with regards to different areas that are available. The community projects. I know you've highlighted the empowerments on cooperatives. How has been how has really the community in general received CDF? Have they been coming? Do they know what to do in terms of how they can access these different, areas of need that have been provided for under the CDF guidelines so far?
Thank you so very much. When CDF was increased from the initial 1.6 to the 25.7 million and currently 28.3, what we did, I did a visit to the constituents, and I made sure that I visited every polling station, that is 39 polling stations that are currently in Mwandi, so that we could sensitize our people in regards to the guidelines of CDF. And we also remember the council also had a sensitization program to make sure that they sensitize the ward development committees who intend in sensitized the community. And we also carried the sensitization of our own to make sure that our people understood exactly what the guidelines were so they could take advantage of CDF. So in regards to sensitization in Mwandi, so people could understand exactly what was needed for them to access CDF, I can 100% say it hasn't been a challenge. I have not received any complaints so far in regards to the sensitization or what people needed to do. The challenge came when they had to register the cooperatives. And remember, we're doing everything at the same time. So all the constituencies were busy doing the registering the cooperatives. So there was some delay at Pakra, but apart from that, I can 100% sure that the sensitization was done. The only other hiccup that I can also highlight is that when these sensitizations were done, I think, we're encouraging people from cooperatives, be in wards, 34. But what ended up happening, like for my constituents, was that actually people applied. There were in masses, like we had 288 clubs that had cooperatives that had applied for funding. So the sensitization was thoroughly done. And we are hopeful that it will manage to, in the 5 years thing that we have, we'll manage to see how everyone is going to benefit in the CDF. So the sensitization was done.
All right, thank you so much. Let's now look at the disbursement aspect. And I think when you were joining, I was just mentioning one of the challenges that from the previous 2 episodes that we've highlighted, that we've brought. One of the speakers mentioned with regards to the late disbursement of CDF. How is it in Mwandi so far?
Thank you so very much. I think what I can say is that previously, I think you heard people talk about when the CDF was increased and CDF was going to be in quarters. So this quarter you receive, you expense, and then you receive for the next quarter. Initially, the proposal by government was for you to expense what you have, and then you receive the next disbursement. But no sooner the government realized that this was going to be a challenge because some projects were going to be running for a longer period of time, like a year. So that was changed to receive it quarterly. And I can 100% say from that, the initial CDF that we received, the second quarter, there was a bit of delay, but since then, we've received everything on time and in full.
All right, thank you so much, Honorable. You are a member of the CDF committee, and of which you have the authority to appoint committee members into that. Tell us, how transparent then is the formation of this particular committee that spearheads the CDF funds?
So I'm kindly asking if you can just come back again on the question. My network kind of cut.
Okay, so I was asking how transparent is the appointment of people that should belong to the CDF committee, knowing that under the current guidelines.
So sorry, can you? I don't know what is happening, but my internet keeps on. I don't know if it's mine or what. It keeps on dropping. So I can I just, sorry for the last time, just have the question again. You're saying.
So I'm asking. Are you able to get me to this?
Yes,
part?
yes, I am.
Okay, so I asked that, how transparent are you, or is the entire selection of people that should belong to the Constituency Development Fund Committee, knowing that you as minister, or as member of parliament rather, as MP, you have this authority to appoint people that should form this committee that eventually spearheads the general CDF in the constituency?
Oh, okay. Thank you so very much. I've gotten you loud and clear. So the question is, how transparent is the CDF committee since it's appointed by the member of parliament? Let me begin by saying, first of all, when you are voted into power, you vie for your constituency. Really, the reason why we vie for our constituencies is because we have their best interests at heart. We want to make sure that our constituencies are developed. And remember, we are also the link between the government and what is happening on the ground. And we are the ones that take also government policy and also the promises of government to our people. So when I go as member of parliament for Mwandi, first of all, whatever is promised by our government, the people get it from my mouth to them. When it comes to the appointing of CDF, the member of parliament is given 5 people to appoint, or 5 slots for appointing. That is, you have the church representative, and then you have a councillor, and then you have I'll check, I'll counter check. But for me, what I did, like for example, for the church representative, I allowed the church to give me the representative. So I engaged all the different stakeholders, and they gave me the representative from the church. And then when it comes to the councillor that is there currently sitting, he was also proposed or chosen by the councillors themselves from all the 12 wards. And then there are people that I also definitely identified and appointed to the CDF committee. And that is because we have an agenda as government. I'm a member of parliament. And when we appoint those people into those committees, you want them to help you to deliver the agenda of the constituency. And remember, in as much as the constituency, the CDF committee sits and looks at projects, these projects that they look at are not identified by the CDF. These projects are identified by the community through the ward development committees. So there's no project that the CDF is there to scrutinize and approve projects. But really, what happens is that the ward development committees that are chosen in the respective wards are the ones that are.
We seem to have some connectivity challenges with Mwandi constituency
Projects from the
member of
different
parliament.
wards and
That's why
submit
you
to
can
the
continue.
CDF. Yes. So the transparency is there because there's segregation of powers. If you, like I said, these projects are identified by the community and they come through the ward development committees, and then the CDF committee are the ones that sit. I'm also part of the CDF committee to analyze this. But in my view, there's nothing wrong with a member of parliament appointing the CDF committee to help deliver the development for the constituency. The same way that we have the cabinet there that is appointed by the president to help him deliver what it is that he wants to deliver to the Zambian people. So in the same regard, I don't see nothing wrong with a member of parliament appointing the CDF committee.
Thank you so much, Honorable. In case you've just joined us, whichever platform you are using to follow this discussion, we are discussing fighting corruption in CDF. And so officially we are coming live on Mukuni Village at the Alliance for Community Action, Mwiza Zulu. We are also live on the Z Students Power Facebook page. We are live on the ACA's YouTube and Twitter accounts. You are free to drop your comments. My guest so far is Mwandi Constituency Member of Parliament, Honorable Sibeso Sefulo. We will also be joined by Mano Ward Development Committee Trustee in the name of Kapambwe Isaiah. He should be joining us. He's also having a bit of some internet connectivity here and there. But you're free to drop your concerns, your comments or contributions. How have you seen the ongoing implementation or management of CDF? What issues do you think need to be addressed, whichever constituents that you are representing so far? But would be very glad as you write your comments. Please write the name of the constituency so that even after the show we can still follow up these issues, because at the end of the day we want to each one empower each other on how we can best all benefit from the CDF. Honorable, there has been, concerns of corruption, cheating, malpractice generally in the CDF. We would like to know, honestly, from your points of view in Mwandi constituency, how then transparent is this committee? Because some people have said it's very easy for a member of parliament to pick people that campaigned for him or her during campaign period, for her to sort of work with them in the CDF committee, and then they are segregative when it comes. For example, people allege that these members of parliament have ultimate authority when it comes to who should benefit when it comes to cooperatives here and there. How different is the Mwandi CDF committee from the rest, if we were to put it that way, in the implementation of CDF?
Thank you so very much. As a member of parliament, first of all, what you have at heart is your people, right? You are voted in, and your interest really is to work for your people, because that's the reason why they voted for you. So you have people that campaigned for you, quite all right. But that's not the qualification for someone to qualify to go into the CDF committee because they campaigned for you. No, you are making a committee that is going to help you to deliver to your constituency. So should you vet your CDF committee based on who campaigned for you, then you'll be shooting yourself in the foot. Because remember, these people are waiting to see development. So for me, the qualification of someone qualifying into the CDF committee really did not come as a result of someone having campaigned for me. I can 100% tell you that there are people that are in my CDF committee that were recommended by the church. Like I said, the recommendation came from the church because I want a representative from the church. In as much as I had the authority to appoint someone from the church, but I consulted. Not only that, I also, in the CDF committee, you need to have someone that understands the rules and regulations, who understands the CDF Act, who understands how things are supposed to operate. Not only that, someone who has also the geographical knowledge of the constituency. So someone has to come and add value to the CDF committee. Because if I choose someone just based on politics and make this committee, that committee will fail me and will fail to deliver to the Zambian people. As my interest right now is that I was voted for the 5 years, the 5 years mandate that has been given to me, I have to deliver on the campaign promises that we made to the people of Mwandi. And in these 5 years, like I'm saying, our interest is to make sure that our promises are delivered and delivered 100%. And then when it comes to issues in regards to corruption, that we've got an upper hand, like I've said, there is an entry point into how someone applies for a project or in CDF. If unless someone says someone has to go to the community, that's why there's decentralization. You've seen this government emphasizing on decentralization. So the power right now does not lie with the member of parliament, no, alone. The power has been given back to the people. The people are the ones that identify the projects that they want, and they apply for those projects through their ward development committees. And we've got stakeholders, our traditional leaders, the church, and everyone in that community participates. It's a community engagement where we identify together, what challenges do you have? What is the project that you want us to do this year? We sit and identify that. And it's so for someone to say there's corruption in the CDF, that means that person should go back and corrupt everyone who's involved in the system. Traditional leaders, the stakeholders, I don't see how that is possible. So to say there's corruption in the CDF and someone has an upper hand, and you should see when we sit in Mwandi, when we have the CDF committee, so it's 2 days that we sit and we're looking at these projects, what is going to benefit the people. And usually, to be honest with you, when the ward development committees, or when the particular ward brings projects, usually they have their own priorities. Like what I've observed in my constituencies, people will just apply for 2 projects for a year and say, this is exactly what we want. We did a stakeholders engagement, and I also do my own verification. We sit with the traditional leaders, we sit with the stakeholders, so that everything that has been done is verified. And you realize that exactly what is brought by the ward development committees is exactly what has been identified by the community themselves. They will identify, this is our priority for this year, we want this school to be done. And then, they apply for that. And the CDF committee, like I've said, they just scrutinize and do recommendations on the projects that have been applied for through the ward development committees. So when it comes to these projects, I do not really see how corruption can come into play. But if there is any corruption, if someone has observed any corruption in the way things are done, they should be very, very free to report that. Because as a government, we are very, very eager to fight corruption, and we do not want corruption in every government a project that we are implementing, including CDF. So if anyone sees something that we have not identified, they should be able to let us know so that we can correct and take the culprits to book.
All right, thank you so much, Honorable. Now, there have been concerns also with regards to the relationship between the CDF committee and the Ward Development Committee. The cry from the Ward Development Committees, most of the time, we have a particular example from this constituency and ward, where the Ward Development Committee submitted on behalf of the people some of the projects that community members submitted. And then later on, this CDF committee chairperson using his powers as a chairperson overrides all the proposals of the committee of the community that have been submitted by the Ward Development Committee. The only thing that they see 2 days later is that the council has come for field appraisal, and the council are coming for the appraisal for the project that was not recommended by the community. The question is, what relationship is there between the CDF committee and the Ward Development Committee? And is this relationship sort of can it in a way help to benefit the people? And if yes, how do you think these two committees can sort of work together?
First of all, let me begin by saying the Ward Development Committees are chosen by the people. So they are the representative of the people on the ground. Okay? That's the first thing. Secondly, when you submit projects, there is the field where the Ward Development chairperson has to sign. So we do not consider any project where the Ward Development chairperson has not signed. That is straightforward an audit query. So there is no way that the council can come and appraise a project that has not been recommended by the Ward Development Committee chairperson, because he has to endorse that to say that, yes, this has been recommended. So in that particular instance, it's difficult for me to comment because I don't know. Their procedure was not followed. We do not do things like that. The Ward Development Committees are supposed to work with the CDF committees. There should not even be any conflict of interest. For me, in that particular case, I would say let that Ward Development chairperson be checked. What is his interest? Because his interest should be the people that is supposed to serve. If they've recommended a project that this is what they want, I don't see where the conflict should come in, unless that Ward Development chairperson is being political or is looking at other things. Otherwise, everything being equal, there should never be any conflict between the Ward Development Committees and the CDF committee. Like I'm saying, these are people that are looking at that everything that has been submitted by the Ward Development Committees. CDF committee does not go on the ground to get projects directly from the people, because they're the ones that are recommending. And when this recommendation is done, it goes to the council and it goes through the approval process where it comes with. Now it has been decentralized. So the approval comes from the province and the projects are approved like that. So I do not even see a situation where there can be any conflict of interest between the Ward Development Committees and the CDF committee. There should not be any conflict of interest whatsoever. But since you have that scenario where the Ward Development chairperson and the council recommends projects that were not initially recommended by the Ward Development Committee, and let me also, in this particular instance, let me be very clear that we are referring to what? CDF, we are referring to CDF what? CDF projects. Because remember, the council also has an equalization fund. So I don't know whether this is a mix of the CDF or the equalization fund, because the council also has.
You are the CDF.
If it's the CDF, it's a CDF money, it has its own guidelines and it does not work like that. It has clear guidelines that even me, I cannot WhatsApp power to say that I do not want this project, I want this project done. I cannot do that. The guidelines do not allow me to do that. I don't even have the authority to do that. So there is a reason why all these committees have been put in place, is to make sure that we are working for the common good and we can provide checks and balances to each other. So each and everyone have got their own separate responsibilities, different from the other. I don't go on the ground to get projects. We get the projects, but as a member of parliament, as I go on my ground, I also listen to my people. I call the traditional leaders, I call the stakeholders, and I listen to them. And most of the times when I'm going, I have an idea what it is that our people want on the ground, because I'm always with them, I'm visiting them. Every ward, every polling station you go to Mwandi, I'm there. Just last month I was there. So we've done this. What is it that are you looking forward in 2023? And we discuss. So if I see that there is, the people said this, we can always go back and verify. But in Mwandi, it's zero. Everything that has been brought by the Ward Development Committees, there's nothing that we've turned down and brought our own. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen like that.
All right. Now, Mwandi is a rural constituency, just like other constituencies in the rural parts of this country. How has your committee managed to disseminate CDF information to the remotest part of Mwandi?
Thank you so very much. I would say also that I'm part of the CDF committee. And in my preamble, I have made mention, I don't even know how many visits I've made to Mwandi, and I did the sensitization program in Mwandi, where each and every polling station, 39 of them, who've made trips and we've sensitized them. Today, even the projects that are happening in Mwandi today, I was in Mwandi in February, and I came back just at the time that Parliament was opened. They will tell you that there's no project that is happening in Mwandi that I've not visited. I've gone there to check on the progress and to monitor. And the CDF committee also, even the monitoring mechanism is also designed. We have guidelines that shows who monitors. We have also the province in the monitoring, we have the district in the monitoring, and we have the CDFC in the monitoring. And I can 100% tell you that whatever is happening in Mwandi today, there's no one who will give me a story because I'm always there. Same with the CDF committee. We took the sensitization we went there to campaign, remember? So there's no reason today that I can come back and say I couldn't go to that party because it's remote. How did I go there to campaign? So it doesn't make sense. We went there to campaign. We went and knelt in front of these people and told them that we wanted their vote because we wanted to take development there. So I cannot come back and give an excuse that this place is very remote, I could not touch it. You go to the remotest part of Mwandi. You talk about Luanza, you talk about Kazungu, any remotest part of Mwandi, they will tell you that our MP has visited us in the time that I've been in Parliament for the past 1 year, 6, 7 months. I've visited them at least 3 times. Every polling station in Mwandi, I've visited them. So I make sure that we do these visits and the sensitizations are done.
Let's now look at, I know that we don't have any representative from the local authority, whichever council, but let's now look at the aspect of bidding and awarding of contracts. We have seen in certain councils where this particular contractor has more than one contract. This contractor was contracted to do a block beside this person is supposed to do a bridge and any other project. What is there any specific guideline or guidance so far to help the people when it comes to such undertakings? Is there any guidance that a contractor cannot be given this number of project for effectiveness, Honorable?
No. First of all, let me tell you, when you're dealing with rural constituencies, it's different from urban constituencies. This pronouncement in regards to the beneficiaries of CDF and how we should give positive advantage to our local peoples given by the president. Therefore, our interest is to make sure that the local contractors that exist in our various constituencies are the beneficiaries of these contracts through the council. But I can also 100% tell you that to get contractors, for example, you have 23 projects that have to bid for in Mwandi, and to give one to each contractor has been a challenge. And we also don't want to outsource, to say now I'm going to get a contractor from Livingstone or from Lusaka to come and work in Mwandi. What we are doing is we are trying everything possible to capacitate our local contractors so that they can be in and also help them to do their papers. Remember, there was also that challenge where the contractors were requested to have the NC certificates, but now we've gone back to see how we can capacitate our local contractors. When it comes to effectiveness, is there any effectiveness when we've given one contract, or 2 contracts to one contractor? To be honest with you, I would say if we could give one project to one contractor. That would be more effective. But we have all the contractors, for example, in my rural constituency, where if we have 23 projects in one year, we are able to give each contractor one, like in Mwandi? No. What do? Then we see how we can work with the contractors that we have within the constituency to capacitate them, and also see how we negotiate with these contractors so that the children that we've taken for skills development are the ones that are used in these projects. But to say that it's effective to give 2-3 contracts to one contractor and they work as effectively as you given them to one, the answer is no. Truthfully, no. All things being equal, would have loved to have one because it will only take 3 months that contractor has finished. But are they in breach of the law by giving 2 contracts to one contractor? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They're not.
Okay, well, how are these very people given contracts? Because we've heard in certain situations, in certain cases, in certain councils, where and I want you to be very honest. Where in certain cases we've heard that a particular director or a particular individual that is within the council has a company or a relative who has a company, and then eventually those very people are contracting and subcontracting themselves. What is the criteria? Like I said, we would have loved to have one from the council, but since you are here, you could also give us guidance with regards to how contracts are given.
Okay. Firstly, let me also make mention that currently a member of parliament does not sit in the council. So the member of parliament sits in the CDF committee. And that means that our role really ends at appropriating the funds. When they come, this is where we're going to take what, and even those estimates are given by the council. And when it comes to the awarding of contracts, that is entirely done by the council without the involvement of the CDF committee. So I just want to make sure that that is clear. But when it comes to awarding of contracts, that you are saying a director has a relative who has a company, let me make mention, when a director has a relative who has a company, by law, the company that the relative to the director has its own, it's a legal entity, right? It's a legal entity. And that does not mean that they cannot bid, they're disqualified from bidding solely because they are related to the director of works or whoever it is. But there should be some declaration of interest. That director should declare interest to say that there's someone who has bid, so they go through a fair process and they should get their hands clean. But it should not, that a director should not give advantage to someone like a company which belongs to a relative. That's not okay. That's not okay. But that the director again cannot just disqualify. You're not disqualified from doing business with government. Otherwise, in Mwandi, all of my relatives will be not that there's any of my relatives that is doing business. No, there isn't any. But what I'm trying to say is that just the mere fact that I'm a member of parliament does not disqualify anyone who is related to me from doing business in Mwandi. But what should happen if I'm in a position where I'm a director of works and directly involved? You understand? Directly involved in the bidding process. There should be declaration of interest so that things are done on a fair scale. But if people are taking it, let me tell you, these funds are auditable. These funds are auditable. It's not like they're going to give us 28.3 million kwacha and government let it go. Just let's go like that. For those that want to take advantage of the CDF money in their various constituencies, whoever it is, from the council, from the CDF, whoever it is, just within this chain of approvals, I want to inform them. These funds are auditable. These funds belong to the Zambian people. And this government does not play when it comes to corruption. Should you be found wanting in the CDF money, you'll be brought to book. You will be brought to book because these funds will be audited. So the law has to be followed to the latter. And like I've also mentioned, this information, if there's anyone who has information in regards to corruption in the CDF, please let them whistleblow.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Sibeso Sefulo is Member of Parliament for Mwandi Constituency in Western Province. Now, Honorable, let's look at one other aspect. 2-3 days ago, one of your fellow Member of Parliament publicly said, if there is any Member of Parliament who is going to fail to recontest the upcoming general election, then that person, I don't know why, because we have the CDF that can help them boost their popularity. One wonders, is CDF a tool to sort of help you politicians, members of parliament, to gain support from the people? Or it is, like I said in my introductions, that essentially this was given to sort of improve development in different localities, now that it is also been extended to a personal empowerment?
First of all, I would say I did not hear that comment from someone who said, for a member, I mean, if you fail to come back when you have CDF, I did not hear that comment, so it would be difficult for me to comment, and also in what context that comment was made. But I won my elections without the CDF. I did not have any CDF in my hands, and I won my campaign, right? I'm a member of parliament for Mwandi, not because I had CDF in my hands, but because I went to the people and we had a mutual understanding. I wanted to stand for them, and they voted for me without the CDF. CDF has been given by the government to the people. That's what I'm saying. In CDF, there is decentralization. Is it a campaign tool for members of parliament? I don't think so. CDF is non-political. If CDF was a campaign tool for members of parliament, it would have been discriminatory given. We would have just been giving the members of parliament for UPND for them to come back, isn't it? But CDF is also given the same amount to the members of PF. So if it was a campaign tool, why would the government of UPND give CDF also to the members of PF to campaign in their constituencies and come back as PF? So when you look at it, really, CDF is given for us to improve the livelihoods of the people that we represent in our various constituencies. When it comes to grants, we are giving these grants to these people. It's for us to improve their livelihoods. We want to see Mwandi transformed. For me, when I was vying for Mwandi constituency, my interest was to see Mwandi getting transformed in any way that I could. Also, even before this CDF was, even using our own resources, we do that. Our interest, like my interest in Mwandi is to make sure that Mwandi is transformed. I want to leave Mwandi a better place than I found it. Do I use CDF as a campaign tool in Mwandi? No, I don't. I think CDF is a developmental vehicle and not a political vehicle. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We should be getting to the comment section a little in a short while. But let us now look at you are speaking so well, Honorable, and one person should be telling themselves, maybe Mwandi constituency is not facing any challenges when it comes to the management or general utilization of CDF. Are there any challenges that so far the constituency is facing in the implementation or management or utilization of the CDF?
If to be honest with you, yes, we have our own challenges, but our own challenges really are not based on a CDF. For example, when you go back on the ground, like I'm telling you, we are empowering our local people. So we have to constantly monitor the quality of the works that they're doing, because, we want things to stand the test of time. And then we have sometimes, like you've said, you've given a project to one contractor and he has two projects, and then the contractor is taking their time to have this delivered. And for us, we are in a hurry to make sure that the moment we give this, it just takes a short period of time and people have to benefit from what it is that we are doing. So yes, we have challenges here and there in Mwandi, but generally, to be honest with you, if you go to Mwandi, I think we've tried our level best to make sure that CDF runs smoothly and effectively. And the other thing also that I also saw as a challenge is that when we spoke about cooperatives, like I said, we went around and sensitized. Our people need to understand the importance of pooling resources. Our resources, if they are put together, we are able to achieve greater. But you'll find that, you have 5 cooperatives within the same wards, 10 cooperatives within the same ward, opposed to them pulling the resources where this one has 40,000, this one has 40,000, and we're able to deliver better. So those are the resources. Those are the few hiccups that we have, and we've worked through them. We've gone back to resensitize our people for them to understand, the importance of working together. What we were taught in our primary called Ujama, isn't it? The power in working together, the power in pulling resources, the power in each and everyone providing checks and balances to the other. other. So apart from that, everything else has been we've tried to do our level best. Yeah.
Thank you so much. What are some of the best practices you think can help to eradicate or fight corruption in the management and utilization of CDF generally?
First of all, like I explained earlier, with what you've said, this is when I'm saying, oh, there could be this loophole. First of all, it's just an understanding that when you occupy public office, sensitization also to the people that we have in the councils and everyone else that is involved in the system. First of all, they need to have an understanding that CDF is not an opportunity for them to do wrong things. CDF has been given by the government to the poor people that we represent, the general populace, like for me who comes from a rural constituency. And then people that occupy these public offices, they should be morally upright. We do not want a situation where a contract is being given and someone is getting a cut. I mean, that is not okay. So apart from that, the best practices that I spoke about is the segregation of duties. There's a reason why we have the ward development committees, we have the CDF committee, we have the councils, and all their responsibilities are different. Okay, so no one should crisscross to go to the responsibilities of the other. Let these responsibilities stand on their own so that we can effectively move, because the people that we represent, the interests of the people that we represent is the same. And then number 3 is constant evaluation and monitoring, because what we want is when we give a project, if it's worth 500,000, it should be worth 500,000. We don't want to give a project or spend 500,000 and the evaluation shows that the project we can do it in 300,000. No. So we also check. Like for me right now in Mwandi, we have a benchmarking tour. We are also going to visit another constituency to see what is happening, their best practices. So monitoring and evaluation, and also being abreast of what is happening on the international, or not on the Zambian market. And remember, we also have under ZPPA that price, the pricing. Also important for you just to check what is happening there, so that we don't have anything that is jumping out. So constant monitoring and evaluation in these projects is very, very important. Constant sensitization, making people aware the consequences of having corruption in CDF, because this government does not play. I'm not going to back anyone who's going to do corrupt things in Mwandi. They'll stand on their own. The president is very clear. If you do wrong things, you are on your own. Even in Mwandi, if you do anything wrong, you are on your own and you face the wrath of the law.
Thanks so much, Honorable MP. Let me allow you to rest now, but don't log out yet, because we have Isaiah Kapambe, who is a trustee from Mano in Bangwela constituency. Thank you so much, Mr. Kapambe, for joining us. You're most welcome. They say it's better late than never. I don't know if you're getting me, Isaiah. Your microphone is muted. If you are speaking, kindly unmute your microphone. I am just welcoming you to the program. Thank you for coming. Okay, as Isaiah is trying to sort out technicalities here and there, let me get to the comment section now, Honorable. There is one comment. I think this one is from Eraston. He says, "I like this conversation. The problem, I'm still behind a bit on declaration of interest." Maybe you could also explain, for the sake of this person who would really like to understand declaration of interest. I think it was in relation to how the criteria used to award contract to different contractors, and you brought in the aspect of conflict of interest and how people can sort of declare interest. Would you like to repeat your explanation, Honorable?
Yeah, thank you so very much. Also, like I said, if you go, I know that you people have gone, you have done school. A company is a separate legal entity from its owners, which has its own rights, different from the members that form that company. I think, if my memory serves me right, there is a case of 1895, which is Solomon versus Solomon. I think that's the case, if I still remember my business law very well. That was that case. So which means that a company is a separate legal entity, different from its owners. The only time that the company and the owners become one and the same thing is when you lift the veil of incorporation. That means something gross has happened in that company. So from that background, it means that, for example, you cannot deter a company from participating in the bidding process because there's a relative who works for the council. No, you can't. Because like I've said, the company has its own right, different from its members. It has its own legal entity. It has a legal name and its own legal standing. It's a person on its own. So therefore, if there's a situation that arises, that there's some conflict of interest in the awarding process, that maybe a relative is involved, there should be declaration of interest to allow the bidding process to go fairly. So that the person that has a relative there, the relative does not take an unfair advantage and award the contract to a relative. What you do, you declare interest. You declare interest, or there's this company that has applied, and because of this on this, I cannot participate in this bidding process. That happens. And then when you declare that interest, it puts you at the right side of the law. So just the mere fact that someone as a company is related with someone who's at the council in Choma does not disqualify them from doing business with government, for the reasons that I've explained earlier. But then if they exist within the same jurisdiction, it's important for that person who has some conflict of interest to declare interest. I think that's what I was trying to explain.
All right, thank you so much, Honorable. Isaiah, I don't know if you're able to get me now. Thank you so much for coming back again. We hope that the technicalities have been resolved. Are you able to get me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. It's loud and clear.
Okay, sure. Thank you. You're so clear. Thank you so much for coming through. I was saying it's better late than never. How quickly? How is? What are people saying about Constituency Development Fund (CDF) in your ward and constituency?
Okay, thank you very much for having me. And I want to apologize for coming late. I had issues with network. My name is Isaac Kapambwe, coming from the WDC in Mano Wadi of Bangwela constituency in Sampia district. The issue at the ground, I can say regarding to CDF here in Sampia district, I can say there are a lot of things that is going on the ground. To mention but a few, we had recorded some cases that giving a serious concern on the ground, like when giving projects, community projects in ward, or I can say when the CDF committee are recommending community projects for approval, we don't know if there are wards in Bangwela constituents which are better than or which are important than the other wards. I'm saying this because it's really unfair. It's unfair, yes. Whereby in the situation whereby, like in our case in Mano, for your own information, Mano is one of the largest wards in Bangolo constituents. But in our case, we just received one community project as compared to others. They received more. So it is a serious concern. We don't know the criteria they use to, in as far as recommending community projects is concerned. And again, I can say there is a delay. The delay is too much in implementations. As we are talking right now, the approved projects of 2022 haven't been commenced even as at now. So is the serious issue, is the serious concern on the ground here in Bangolo constituency. The delay is too much. None of the, as I said earlier, none of the approved projects of 2022 has commenced. And we don't know what is happening. The delay is just too much. It's a serious concern in Bangladesh constituency.
Can I just make a follow up on the delayed commencement of the projects that were approved? Did you follow up as a committee on why these same projects, even after being approved, have not been commenced?
Yeah, we did. We followed the issue. We went to the council. We went and asked question why there is so much delay in implementing community projects. They said just the process is too long, is too much. But we are very much aware that now the approval is done at the provincial level. Now, I can say we are still not satisfied with the answer we got because it's too much as we are talking. The approval done at the provincial level, but up to now, we haven't seen any contractor even at site for the projects which was approved. So we followed the issue, but still we are not satisfied with the answer they gave us. I don't know if I have answered your question.
Yes, you have. And then you were also continuing with other issues that are happening so far in your ward, besides what you mentioned.
Yeah. Another issue is when clubs received the empowerment, that was for 2022. They were called by some of my colleagues in the committee, the WDC committee, in our ward, Mano ward. They were called to say we were the one pushing this for you, and now it's your turn that you do us favor. So people came to me to complain because I wasn't part of that team. I wasn't in that meeting where they called these clubs to say it's you now, it's your turn now to do us the favor because we were pushing this on your behalf. So people came to complain to say it's totally unfair. So I had to stop them. I took that action personally. I had to call them to stop them because it was unfair. It was really unfair. Like in the case whereby these people, these clubs, they were applying for CDF empowerment. I think we all know that the maximum amount they can try for grants is 40,000. So these people, these clubs, they were applying. Some of them were applying for 30,000. Some of them were applying for 30,000 and even more. But unfortunately, they were just receiving 10,000 each clubs. They were just receiving 10,000 each clubs. It's another situation which is the serious concern to our people in Bangladesh constituency because there is no way where they can apply for maybe let's say 30,000 and then again they give them a 10,000, which is giving them job to adjust their budget in order to fit their intended purpose why they applied for that particular business proposal. So I had to stop them to say, no, look, these people already, they are in this job, they are adjusting their budgets because they were expected to receive more. Their expectation was to receive maybe a 30,000, but now they have received a 10,000, which is not okay at all. So I managed to stop them, and the people was happy about it.
All right, thank you so much, Isaiah. I'll get back to you, Honorable. I would ask that you help us and the people on what Isaiah has highlighted. The first concern is that in his ward, there are certain wards that have not benefited anything so far, even despite community members submitting their proposals. The question is, what criteria does the committee, CDF committee, use to ascertain what ward should benefit what project? And then the other one had to do with that some members of the ward development committee are compelling some of the beneficiaries to sort of give them something, purporting that they helped them to successfully be awarded those different checks.
Thank you so very much. Before I answer that question, let me put a disclaimer that I'm not speaking on behalf of Bangwela, but I'm going to tackle that question
Yes.
as it has come just in general terms. So this, like I've said, that is a disclaimer. First of all, there are three things as I was listening to him that he has said. He has said from now, from the approval that was done in 2022 for the community projects in Bangwela, there's no project that has been implemented. That is a shocker, because I'm looking at my projects right now in Mwandi that we did. Like I said, we had 23 projects. And out of the 23 projects that we did, remember, these projects are quartered as well. So we sat as CDF, looked at the projects in totality and quartered them. These projects will be in the first quarter, these will be in the second quarter, and these will be in the third quarter. And how did we do that? The projects that we really put in the first quarter are for areas that get flooded. So we're of the idea, if we wait to take them in the third quarter, it will take time for them to be implemented because of the floods that occur in those areas. So the areas that get flooded, we gave them priority so that the projects can start there. So out of the 23 projects that we did, as we went to Mwandi, we have handed over 4 staff houses. This you can verify. We have a water project that we did at Kazungu, at Mwanza. This is done. The water is running, and there's a project that is currently happening there. And I went there, and it's above slab. It's being built. We purchased the 40,000 liters that we did for Adonsi. That is done. 1x3 classroom that is happening at Adonsi is currently being done. And we had the purchase of desks for all the wards. So we managed to do the desks for all the wards. We did almost over about 1,000 desks. All those were done and distributed in all the schools. And then there are projects, and then we have the piped water to Mwandi East that has been done. We have the water reticulation at Ilo Theatre that has been with some talks because the minister came to Mwandi and we didn't want to run a separate project. So there's some directive that has come from the ministry so that is on hold a bit. When you go to Sambutu, to the 1x2 classroom that we've done at Sambutu is done. The storeroom at Magumo is done. So when we're talking about, I'm hearing that there are others that are still having. I went to Kandelumuna. If you went to Kandelumuna, I was there. I went to check on that project. It's already, they have put slab. Like I'm saying, the areas that really get flooded. So like I'm saying, the floodlights the floodlights already to put in Mwandi, they are done. So I'm taken aback to hear that the 2022 projects. Sorry, I have dogs. I think they are. I don't know what is happening, but they're barking. So so to hear that 2022 projects, there's nothing that has been done. I mean, I can't comment on behalf of Bangwela, but as we are looking at 2023 projects, we are done with 2022. Our interest right now, like I'm telling you, our approval for the projects for 2023 has gone. We had actually submitted to Lusaka before the approval was taken to the province. Our projects had been taken to Lusaka, and then remember there was that the local governments issued an instruction for us to purchase a police motor vehicle. So we had to withdraw those projects for 2023 to include the directives that came from the local authority. So I'm surprised as we are looking at 2023 and the 2022 are already done. When it comes to awarding of grants, Mwandi has 12 wards. what we did is Mwandi ward is the biggest ward in terms of population and just the geographical area. Mwandi ward is quite big. So what we did as a committee, we decided we are going to give Mwandi ward a little bit bigger an amount compared to the other wards. The other wards, all of them received an equal amount that we distributed to the various clubs. So there's no ward that got more than the other. When it comes to projects, to be honest also, when it comes to projects, we are looking also at equity. So there are times when another ward will get more than maybe another ward, depending on what that ward has. Like, for example, when you went to Mushukula ward, specifically Luanza, if you follow ZNBC, you saw that on TV. Luanza, since independence, has never had a school, has never had water. The nearest school to Luanza was 17 kilometers to come to Mushukula. That means that the children that are growing up in Luanza had no access whatsoever to school or any running water. Through this CDF, if you go to Luanza, we put a solar-powered bore, and the 1x3 is being constructed now. But Mushukula, who is also part of Luanza, it's one ward. Mushukula said, we can take this, benefit in the list, because Mushukula has a school and they have running water. So when we look at this, we are also trying to bring about equity. Who is in need more than the other? But when it comes to the wards, the different wards, we give the same amounts. And then we see which area is in need than the other. But I don't know what strategy Bangwela is using, and I cannot comment on that. When it comes to corruption in regards to these CDF projects, the grants, the money is given by government. Who is pushing for money to go to Mwandi? The money is already there. Every quarter we are given. So who is pushing? There's no pushing that is involved in the money being given to a club. There's no pushing that is involved because the money has already been released. Even that pushing, like for example, the ward development committees are taking these papers. That is why they were voted in, because that is their responsibility. And they're not even supposed to demand for any kobo from anyone who has been approved. Please, I would want to encourage that ward development committee member to immediately report this issue. So like I've said, are you able to get me? Are you able to get me? Sorry, am I audible?
Yes, we can get you, Honorable Sibeso.
So what I'm saying is that if anyone is asking for money, not only in Bangwela, this is also the message that I'm sending to Mwandi constituency. If anyone within the WDC's CDF committee, please just get in touch with you and say, no, I was pushing for you, should give me something. Report that person. That person is a thief, and we don't want them on that committee, and we'll check them out. Whether in the CDF committee or in the ward development committees, we don't want anyone that is going against government policy. We are fighting corruption. We do not want corruption in our systems. So I encourage the WDC to quickly go and report that. If he has evidence, let that be reported. And if anyone makes a call to you to demand for anything, please record them. So that is used as evidence. We'll take them out of the system and they'll be handed over to Anti-Corruption Commission or the police so they can be dealt with. So that is my take. That should not happen. It's unacceptable. The president is very, very clear when it comes to our stance in regards to corruption. We do not want corruption. From the smallest organ of government, we do not want corruption. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Sibeso. I've seen my colleague Moa is back. Moa, over to you.
Yes, apologies. I was kicked out of the studio by internet, but we hope that this time around it to stabilize. Going forward, let me ask you, Isaiah. How have you fought corruption and any other malpractice in your ward with regards to concerns of CDF? Well, what have you done?
Thank you very much. Like I said earlier on, there are certain things that we can fight as WDC, but you really need to understand that our power, or maybe I can say we are limited at some points. There is issues that we can handle as WDC, and again there is issues that we cannot even handle. So like the case which we had, whereby my colleagues are doing such a things, I had to take it personal. I had to call them. I had to explain to them that what you are doing is a crime. You really need to stop this. I had to stop them, and they stopped. No one was. I mean, no crab paid anyone money at that time because I had to stop them. I stopped them. Now, like in cases like the criteria the CDF committee is using as far as the recommending community project is concerned, I think we need the backup of the government. Yes, we need the government to come on board. We need the government officials, I think, to come on the ground to see what is happening on the ground. I think the government, I think they don't have to just rely or depend on reports they are receiving, if there are any. They have to go on the ground to see for themselves what is really happening. Like in our case, in our ward, Mano ward, in 2021, our ward did not benefit from the CDF. I think by then it was 1 million. In 2022, we were just given one project, which is building a clinic at the Sompe zone, if I'm not mistaken. As I said earlier on, our ward is one of the largest wards in Bangoro constituency, or maybe I can say it is the largest ward in Bangoro constituency. We have 11 zones, if I'm not mistaken, and we have wards in Bangoro constituency whereby if we can add 3 zones of our ward, it can make up one ward. So the issue is, how can they give a certain ward more projects than the other? That's why I asked the question that maybe we don't know if there is any ward in our constituency which is more important than the other. Like what happened, for example, they gave Lupiri ward, they gave Lupiri ward a construction of a sewer at prison. Then there's a building they had to construct at the police station, sorry. And again, they awarded Lupiri ward an abortion block at Samfia Primary School. Now, it is okay if they can build a sewer at prison. It is okay, again, if they can build another building at the police station. But I think building an abortion block at Samfia Primary School, it was not really, I can say it wasn't supposed to be that way, because we have real issues in our wards. We have real issues, like in my case, in my zone, we have real issues. The whole entire ward of Mano ward, we have only the one secondary school, which is located in my zone. And this secondary school, if you were to come to this secondary school, you can even feel for us. You can feel sorry for us. We applied to CDF, but no response. They decided to give a Samfia Primary School an abortion block. And again, if you were to come again to Samfia, our ward is right next to the township of Samfia. But when you get into our ward, when you come to our ward, you can really tell that something is really wrong, because the press is really neglected for so long. How can they give Rupiri ward 3 projects, then they give us one project is totally unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable. So those issues we can't fight on our own as WDC. We really need the government to help us. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Isaiah. I'll still get back to you, Honorable Sibeso. You are very how passionate and emphatic Isaiah is when it comes to highlighting issues. This is a question that I've been asking your previous fellow members of parliament. The question is, we know that currently the Ward Development Committee is not funded given the guidelines of the CDF. If there was a provision to review or for review, would you be among the members of parliament that can vote that WDC should be funded to effectively carry out their responsibilities?
Thank you so very much. Maybe before I answer that question, I was listening to the WDC speak passionately about his ward and how they've received one project and the other wards have received 3 projects. I wanted to find out if the ward that has received projects is within the same constituency, which is Bangwela. Because remember, when you're looking at development, I also spoke about, we also look at equity. He's just clearly mentioned that his ward is near the township. I'm not saying that he does not deserve the 3 projects, but when a member of parliament or the CDFC sit and look at these projects, they're not looking at one ward. They're looking at the constituency as a whole. There are times when we've given projects and people are like, no, honorable member, you have actually neglected where you're coming from. I come from Mabumbu ward. Okay? That's where I was born, bred. I went to school, to Mabumbu Primary School. But there are areas like Luanza, and I'll ask my people, you want me to bring a 1x3 classroom to Mabumbu, which already has maybe 6 classes or 7 classes. But go to Luanza, a child in Luanza doesn't even have 1 class whatsoever. But because maybe that WDC is coming from Mabumbu, their interest is really vested just in Mabumbu. But as a member of parliament, your interest is not vested in one ward. It's vested in the constituency as a whole. Because he said they have 11, I don't know why they have 11 wards, that's what I was meaning. So we also have to look at equity. Where is the need most? You know, he said that they've just been given a clinic, while others have 3. Maybe you go to the other area, maybe they didn't even have a clinic, they didn't even have school, they didn't even have water. We're not saying they don't deserve it, but we look at equity. Where is the current need? Where is it pressing hard as it is? So, unfortunately, also, I want the people to understand that our mandate is 5 years. Not everything is going to be done within the first CDF, which is 2022. We have 2023, we have 2024, we have 2025, depending on our priorities. When we triage them, then you look, oh, this is the first thing that we are going to do, this is the second thing that we are going to do, and this is the third thing, just like that. You look at where the need is most. And then the other question that you asked was in regards to, sorry, you said
in regards to the need, if at all there is review of the current CDF guidelines of the need to fund the WDC, because these are the people that are dealing one-on-one with the people in these different communities of need.
Okay, so you're asking, you are saying that they need to fund. I don't do. You mean to give them a salary? I'm not very sure on what the question is.
The question is that the current CDF guidelines under the current act does not provide for funding to fund community development members for them to, because these are the people that are taking, for example, questionnaires. How do you call these application forms for them to, for example, for them to move from point A to B, you know, it only provides for a distance of 50 kilometers, for example. But we know that in terms of effectiveness, again, that is a question that we need to ask for another discussion. My question is that would you be among the members of parliament that would one day support a motion to fund these WDCs if that happens one day?
I, as a member of parliament, for me, anything that is progressive will be supported by me, as long as it's progressive. When it comes to regards to the funding by the WDCs, there's a channel through which all this communication can be done. I have not received specifically a complaint in regards to the WDCs and the allowance that they currently get when they sit. To be honest with you, even me when I sit on the CDF committee, I get the same allowance as anyone else. But if there is a genuine complaint in regards to the type or the allowance that they get that is too little, let them bring it on the table and we discuss and we see how we can work our way forward. But when it comes to supporting anything that is progressive and it has a good reasoning behind it, it will be supported by me.
One other issue that has been noted so far, based on what Isaiah has brought up with regards to his ward not receiving projects, what I have noted is that information gap between the CDF committee and the community themselves. I kind of feel like the CDF committee is not telling the people why, for example, a particular ward has not been given such projects. How is it done in Mwandi, for example, in cases where this particular ward applied for consideration and they were not considered? Are they given feedback why they were not given that project?
Okay, in Mwandi, what is currently happening is, and also let me make mention, when we talk about the CDF being 28.3 million kwacha, is not everything that is going for community projects. And when people look at that money, or they say, oh, everything is going to the community projects, therefore, all this money has been taken. It's not like that. And then there are things that we are mandated to do within the CDF. Like, for example, I'm talking about us helping our police and things like that. So not everything goes to projects. Like, for example, in 2022, what was available for projects in all the constituencies was only, like in my constituency, was 14.9. And from there, because we're also buying the CDFC vehicle that is going to help us in monitoring, what was available for projects was only 13.9. What we did for Mwandi constituency is that each ward was given an amount equally, all the wards. They were given an equal amount of money. But then we have what we call community projects. Those projects are district projects. Those are projects that cut across all the wards. Like, for example, our district project for last year was for us to do desks in their schools. So those ones, we gave the schools, all of them, desks equally. So that cut across all the wards. But when it comes to giving the actual projects, we give the same amount to each and every ward. But then there are instances, let me give you an example, when it comes to wards that are within the Boma. Like, for example, Mwandi has one hospital, which is our district hospital run by the UCZ. Mwandi has 3 secondary schools. And one of the secondary schools is Iluteyeta. Iluteyeta is domiciled in Mwandi ward. When we give a project to Iluteyeta, we are not giving that project because we are giving, we will not count that project as not being given to Mwandi ward, because all the children that are within the constituents go to that school. But to an ordinary person who's looking out, so they've taken too many projects in Mwandi, because even Iluteyeta has benefited. Forgetting that school, when it's benefiting, it's not only benefiting the children that are in Mwandi. Actually, Iluteyeta being a boarding school, the ones that are benefiting are children that are coming from the different wards, opposed to the ones that come from Mwandi. So there are times when you give those projects and you have the background looking at how our children are suffering that are coming from the various wards. But because of where that project is domiciled, the community might look at it like you've given Mwandi ward too much. But when you sit down and analyze, that is like a district project. So what we did is, for us, we looked at these projects and we said these are district projects, the ones that benefit everyone, and they should not be tied to any ward. So those ones, we segregated them, after which we gave whatever was remaining to each ward equally. And then now we went back and looked at what was submitted by the WDCs. Like I've said, there are wards, like, for example, in Adons, they submitted only 2 projects. Now, this year, this is what we want, this is our priority. So they never gave us any difficulties in choosing, because those were the 2 projects that were recommended, that were brought through. So also, just that sensitization of our people to understand how much is available on the table. Also, just brings forth some understanding, because people think that the money is a lot. For example, if you're going to construct a 1x3, we're actually going to do a clinic in one of the wards. When you look at the amount that is involved in us to do that mini, or call it maybe a mini hospital, it's like doing 2 projects in another ward. So all these, for us in Mwandi, we give the same equal amount to everyone, and then we look at the projects that we applied for in those different wards. And then you'll find sometimes projects have gone to one branch or one area. Like I've said, I've given an example of Mshukura. When you look at Mshukura, there's no way that would have taken a school to Kazungwe and not give it water. How? That means that we'll be defeating the purpose. We've given a 1x3 and there's no water. Some things have to go as a combo. You cannot decide to take a school where there's no water and where there's no teacher's house. Because at the time that you are done, that school will be like that and there'll be nowhere for a teacher to live. And it will not benefit the community. So there are projects, when you do them at times, they have to be given as a combo for the community to immediately what? To immediately benefit. I will not make a decision to say, here I'll bring a 1x3 classroom and then we'll take water there. Because we want the benefits to be accrued by the community as soon as that project is done. So it's better we do the combo and the children start benefiting. And then next year we move to another area. But for us, we have all these projects running at the same time and we have that understanding with the people. All I'm saying is that the projects that are being done in Mwandi are done for the people of Mwandi as a whole. We are one family. We see where the challenge is and we resolve. I submit.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Isaiah, as we conclude this conversation, what would you like to say, and what will you do with all what you've highlighted so far to ensure that eventually there is improved working relationship between you and the committee, and generally in ensuring that people benefit? Seems as is having a bit of some issues. Honorable, as we conclude, how can the, okay, you can go on, Isaiah.
I didn't hear the question properly. Maybe if you can repeat.
The question is, what is your conclusion? What are your concluding remarks?
Okay. Thank you very much. My conclusion remarks, I can say it will be better for the CDF committee to be giving us feedbacks when we apply for the project and it fails. They have to give us a feedback why. They have to explain so that we move on the same pace. That will help us even to, because our job, our responsibilities, we are connecting the community and the local government. That's our job as WDC. We go to the community, we ask them according to what the policy of decentralization is telling us, giving authority and power to the people. So the people, they tell us to say, no, we need a school. So we apply for the school, we take it to the council. So the council, they have to give us feedback so that we have responses to give to the community who have that authority and the power according to decentralization. And another thing, I don't know if I am right or not. I can surely say, as for me, I'm not really that happy with the criteria the CDF committee they are using. It's like they are the final say of the CDF. Everything they decide, it have to come to pass. My appeal to the government is, maybe if they come up, it's not the topic for another day. My point is that if the government can come up with a certain policy that to promote equity in as far as utilizing this fund is concerned, because as the Honorable MB alluded earlier, it is the 5 years mandate and the policy changes. So the 5 years mandate, we have 11 zones in the ward, I can only see 5 projects to be done the next years on this 5 years mandate. We don't know if the government can change, if cannot change, but policies can change. That's my point. So some of us, I have the feeling that some of us, we will just be like a decoration in the office minus doing something, you know. And again, I can say maybe it is an appeal to the honorable MP if they can help us with the challenges. We do face challenges, and one of the challenges I want the honorable MP to help us with, to speak for us when time is due, is the issue of transport. The issue of transport. Some of our wards are very wide, very large, very big. So we do not really manage to do our job appropriately because of lack of transport. It will be okay for us if we can receive even bicycles, it will be okay. And again, the issue of motivation, you know what I mean, motivation. Yes, we are volunteers. We are willing to do the work. We are equal to the tax, but we need to be motivated. It is
Thank
very
you. As you wind up.
okay. And again, lack of refreshment.
All
Maybe I
right.
can say lack whenever we are.
Please go on.
Okay, lack of support, like a refreshment whenever we are sitting for the CDF committee. It has caused many meetings at WDC level not to be conducted. So it is my appeal to the honorable MP, if there is any way they can speak for us in the parliament, to take these issues to the parliament so that they can look in this issue. It will be helpful for us. Otherwise, we are willing to work, we are able, and we are equal to the task. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaiah. Honorable, as we conclude, I would like you to react to respond rather to some of the concerns that Isaiah has brought forth, and also we have people that are watching that are following us from Mwandi constituency. How can they hold your committee accountable should they notice any malpractice in CDF as we conclude?
Thank you so very much. And let me say thank you so very much to Isaiah and all the Ward DCs that we have, the Ward Development Committees that we have around the country. Thank you so very much for your sacrifice and the work that you put in to make sure that we move the country forward. We really appreciate the challenges that the WDCs, having heard from Isaiah, we've taken note of them. And what I can advise is that we can find a way of using formal channels to make sure that their complaints and they're very reasonable. To be honest, their complaints are very reasonable. There's nothing that unreasonable that they've said. So I just want to express my appreciation for the great work that the WDCs do. It's a lot of work. I agree. I come from a rural constituency, and my WDC sometimes they have to cover long distances for them to attend these meetings. He also spoke about refreshments when they attend these meetings. There's an administrative issue. The council should come in and they should be able to provide these refreshments whenever these meetings are happening with WDCs. And I don't know whether he's talking at ward levels, and I know that for sure at ward levels there's an allowance that is given when they have these meetings. But as a government, we are very, very committed to making sure that we continue working with you so that we can push our country forward. And then you're saying there are people that are listening from Mwandi. How do they hold us accountable? Oh, and I actually spoke also about the CDF committee having the final authority. Let me make mention in any given situation, there is a person who gives final authority. Even in our homes, there is a person who gives final authority. Even in government, depending on the situation, there should be someone who gives final authority. I'm not too sure whether it's saying that the CGF committee is too powerful, because for me, the CGF committee only aims at approving projects or recommending projects that have been brought in by the WDCs. So, and then they're not involved even in the bidding process. They end at the recommendation of the projects to be done to be advertised by the council. So I'm not too sure how powerful the CGF committee, the power that they have. I don't know whether it's ostensible. They seem to have that power that they're not given, but for me, they should be at any particular in any decision making mechanism. There should be a final authority. There should be someone who should be able to give that authority. So in this regards, when it comes to the CGF committee, when it comes to recommending projects, the CGF committee is to have that mandate of the recommendation. And then you also spoke about the people that are currently watching us in Mwandi or listening to us in Mwandi and would want to hold us accountable. Let me make mention. The money that is given under CGF under CGF, the 28.3 is money for the people. And you don't want you don't want to see anyone misusing your money. This money is money for the people. The people of Mwandi should feel free. Should they see anything that is not going on well in the CGF committee, let them bring it to my attention. Or if they feel that there's anything that should go above me, there's actually a toll-free line that has been provided. I think, if not a toll-free, there's a line that has been provided by the local authority where situations or instances can be reported. But if there's anything that they think that is important for us that we can resolve as a family in Mwandi, if they have any concerns, let's sit together and resolve. Because our interest, like I've said, is to serve our people and to serve them in an efficient and in a diligent way. So if there's anything that they want to bring to our attention, even when in my absentia, when I'm sitting in Parliament, I have an office. Please let them take it to my office and it will reach me. But as soon as I close Parliament, I'll be with them. Any concerns, let them feel free to register so that together we can prosper Mwandi and make it great. Thank you.
It's much honorable. Ladies and gentlemen, would have loved to continue with the conversation, but well, it's getting late. These conversations would really take us the entire day to talk, and we shall never even finish. But for the sake of time, I think we need to end here. I also want to indicate that this is our last episode. Of course, we hope that our all-weather partner, the Alliance for Community Action, would extend, because we had a request from Isaiah that we could have an extension for other pertinent issues that we would have loved to continue. Once again, we would like to thank the people that made an appearance for us to effectively hold this discussion, and these are Mwandi Constituency Member of Parliament, Honorable Sibeso Sefulo. Thank you so much, Honorable, for coming through, and we hope that we will continue engaging each other on many discussions to follow.
Thank you so very much for hosting me, and I hope that the Alliance for Community Action should continue with this program. It's a very, very informative program, and it's also a feedback program. And we hope that next time when we feature on such programs, we can also have feedback on how we can improve and make better for the people that we serve. Thank you so much for hosting. Good night.
Thank you. You're most welcome. We would also like to thank Isaiah Kapambwe, a trustee from Mano I kept on saying Bangwela constituency, but it is Bangwela constituency. Thank you so much, Isaiah. We hope to also have you next time, should we have a similar discussion.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate. It feels good that you are providing a platform where we can voice out and our voices can be heard. This is great. We are happy about it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much to all of you who have stayed this late to follow this conversation. We also appreciate, in particular, these who have managed to contribute. We would have loved to read all the comments, but obviously time couldn't allow us. But we can continue talking on these issues I mean, these are issues that happen every day. In conclusion, we would also want to encourage you to say that you need to report all financial mismanagement of CDF, and this is how you can do it. For example, you can report under the Office of the Auditor General. There is a toll-free line, which is 5566. This is free on MTN and Zamtel. You can also send an email to auditor@ago.gov.zm. You can also use the platform of the Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC. They also have a toll-free line on all the networks we have in Zambia. That is 5980. You can send them an email at info@acc.gov.zm. All these authorities have different, have what is known as the Whistleblowers Act, where they can protect your confidentiality should you give them information on what you've seen. So don't be scared. In case you see any financial mismanagement on CDF, you can report using these platforms I've mentioned. Then you can also utilize the website of the Alliance for Community Action, which is acazambia.org/CDF. You can read on many informative documents about CDF. We were coming live on many platforms, but to mention the Alliance for Community Action, ACA Zambia, Mukuni Village, Mwiza Zulu. We were also live on Z Students Power. We were live on the ACA's YouTube and Twitter accounts as well. We're live on Chanda Medley Chongo on Facebook. We're also live on Muba Gabriel Josias on Facebook. Chanda, thank you so much also for having been handy, especially when internet kicks us out of the studio from day one. Thank you so much for your help.
Thank you very much, Josias. It's always been a pleasure being part of this discussion, and we are hoping that we continue the conversation on the other side. And let me take also this opportunity to mention that tomorrow on our Twitter page at Alliance for Community Action, we'll be having a Twitter space for a similar discussion, and hoping that everyone who is here may be able to join on that other platform there. Thank you very much to you, Josias.
All right, thank you so much. Like Chanda mentioned, we should all be going to Twitter tomorrow at 12 hours up to this similar timing for another nice conversations on CDF. Once again, thank you so much for following. We end here. We shall be back if at all there is a partnership again to have such discussion. Thank you so much to even the previous guests that have appeared on these conversations. Let's continue such discussions in our different platforms. Have a lovely night.